My guest today is the lead singer and songwriter of the Canadian band Sumo Cyco. Please welcome the amazing Skye Sever Sweetnam. Hey Skye, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm very excited about the opportunity to talk with you today.
Great. Thanks for having me, man.
First, I would like to know how music came into your life and who influenced you to become a singer.
Oh, wow. Well, that would have been a long, long time ago. I think it was actually what really inspired me is doing performances and being on stage. Doing musicals when I was a kid was a huge thing for me. So I knew like every word to like Les Mis and all the musicals like Andrew Lloyd Webber style. And I loved that stuff when I was a kid. And then I signed up I wanted to go to snowboarding camp when I was a kid. And then my mom accidentally missed the deadline to get me into snowboarding camp. So she's like, what am I going to do with my 12-year-old? So she signed me up for what was called Pop Stars Camp. And it was basically a bunch of like 12-year-olds running around a music studio pretending, to record their voices and whatnot. But it was my first taste of getting on a microphone and recording myself. And from that moment on, I thought it was so cool that I could listen back to my own voice. And you kind of have this like weird feeling when you hear yourself through headphones for the first time that it almost feels like you're outside of yourself. And that's what got me really excited to start recording music.
I have to say, I feel very in love with your voice. I think it's amazing. Sometimes clear, sometimes beautiful, sometimes speed, straight, rough. Like you said before, Sumo Cyco, you was a pop singer. Can you talk about why did you decide to change your music style and what was the challenge for you to move on this different kind of sound?
Well, to me, it seemed like a very natural progression. So when I was really young, and I did my pop music, guitars were always a real focus. So I always wanted to be a singer-songwriter, and I always wanted to have guitars in my music. So if you think of like a junior version of what I'm doing, if you're like starting off down the road to become like, a true like rock and roll singer, you kind of start off with maybe a tiny little bit of teen angst, and that's what I started with. And then I started seeking out more collaborators that were in that space. So I had the pleasure to be able to work with people like Tim Armstrong from Rancid. I wrote a song with Mark Hoppus from Blink-182, and I was able to meet a lot more people that were more leaning in the rock space. And then by the time that I got into my early 20s, I was really, really just inspired by trying to experiment, like you said, with as many styles that my voice could possibly do. So I wanted to try what it was like to scream. I wanted to know what it was like to try to, rap really fast. I wanted to just like push all my boundaries of my voice. And that's what really, I think, set the mark off for Sumo Cyco, with how many different styles can we put into one type of music, and let's go for it. Let's try to make it fun and let's make it heavy.
Can you tell us the story of your band, why this name, and how all the things around the band? How does it start?
Yeah, so the co-writer of the band and co-producer, his name's Matt, and he's my life partner. He's like been around me and music since I was like a kid. He's played guitar for me for many years and does musical direction. And one day, we were reconnecting. We had been seeing each other for, I think, over a year. And we got together to just like catch up. And he played me a band called Skindred out of UK.
Yeah.
And they're one of my all-time favorite bands. But it really sparked something in me when he brought that to me. And it was him bringing it to me. And he's, a guitar player. And so I was like, dude, like we should start a band together. Like you should play guitar. We could do something like dance hall vibes, like Skindred, but like make it heavy. And I was just like, this is what I want to try to do. So he was down, and we got a couple of our other buddies. At the time, we've changed band members a few times, but at the time it was a guy named Ryan Leger, who you may know has played in a band called Every Time I Die. He actually played for me for a few years in the pop world, but he jumped on board for a little bit. Our buddy Ken Cork from Hamilton. And we started this band, and the band name came across because we had to play our first show. And as many bands out there probably know, it's like when you play your first show is when you really have to like be like, okay, we're actually a band now. Like we have a show, we have a gig, we need a band name, like we need to start this thing off. So it was a little bit of a rush to find a band name. And I had this list, a whole sheet of words that I kind of brainstormed, and I said, what is the two words on this sheet that describe our sound? Because at the end of the day, you want a band name that people hear and it can kind of give them a feeling of what they're about to listen to. So I circled Sumo and I circled Cyco, reason being I thought Sumo, it's in your face, it's loud, it's big, powerful, like a sumo wrestler, and then Cyco, just a little bit crazy and off the wall. And stuck those two words together, made sure we could get a website that no one else had the name. And and we just went from there. And it's been 10 years, which is crazy, since we put out our first song. So it's been a wild ride.
I like the answer. I know songwriting is very important for you. Tell me, what do you like to talk about in your lyrics? Do you like to write story about you or something relating from you?
Yeah, I mean, my lyrics are inspired by a lot of things. I do tend to sometimes go into a fantasy world and make up things in my head and scenarios, but the last year, man, and the last couple of years, there's been a lot of like real world events that are even more crazy than what your imagination can come up with sometimes. So I feel like a lot of the writing that I've done is definitely inspired by things that like current events that have affected my life, and then in turn caused me, I think, to have those internal struggles that we all have with how we can relate ourselves to this crazy world that we're living in. And a lot of my themes that I keep coming back to are a lot about empowerment and overcoming and getting through struggle. And I think a lot of people out there can relate to that sentiment, because it can relate to any part of your life that you're trying to get through. And that's typically when I look back at my music and I go, okay, there's a thread here. It's all about kind of getting over something, trying to push through, be strong.
I think color is important for you, for the band. When I see yourself, I'm like to say you are like Harley Quinn, very sexy, beautiful, but very colored. You are like a rainbow in the sky. Tell me what the color mean to you, and what is the place of them in your creation?
Yeah, I think color is kind of, in a way, my weird way of rebelling. I've always found myself, whenever I am growing as an artist or seeking out, like I said, to try to be a better artist or evolve, I always look at sometimes what the certain area I'm in is lacking. So for instance, now that I've kind of moved into a world where a lot of the bands we're playing with are, we just got off tour with bands like Wednesday 13 and Ginger, and we play with a lot of metal bands, and a lot of the themes I keep seeing with the bands that we're playing with the industry in general is we're kind of now embarking into a darker, heavy alternative music metal world. And when I look at that world, I think, okay, how do I stand out amongst the crowd of people doing these styles of music? And to me, it's about bringing fun and color and bright happiness to this place, because I feel like metal especially has been kind of like a dark, vibes where everyone almost is angry or depressed or feeling like, they want to write about these things. Understandable. I do too. But I think bringing that like bright, fun energy to that world is almost like a way to distinguish myself from other acts, I think, in a way that don't necessarily embrace that more weird or crazy, colorful side. So for me, it's all about just kind of being myself and showing that through whatever genre that I'm working in. And to me, I'm a very bubbly, lighthearted person that just really loves heavy music, and I don't want to hide either side. So I want to be able to express myself, doing as heavy as I want to go, but I also want to be able to be as fun and light and bright colored as I want to be as well. So it's kind of, my weird rebellion in this metal world,
right.
to add some color. pink underwear, pink hair extensions. Be a little more girly girl that you don't see as much.
All right. Your band will release soon his third album named Initiation. Do you think it's a new start for you and Sumo Cyco?
Yeah, in a way it does. It does feel like just going through what we have in the last 10 years, having come through 10 years and still survived as a band kind of feels like a renewal. The fact that we have gone through this COVID crisis and we're still here, we're still releasing music, does feel like we've kind of come through the fire, phoenix rising from the ashes in a way. I think any band who survived this time is especially, smaller bands that don't have like, a huge, international name. For them, this type of thing to happen is devastating to how you can operate as a band, getting together as a band, playing shows as a band. So if any band can survive through this type of thing, this is, to me, it shows real staying power and shows real initiative. And also the fact that we've been lucky enough to be signed to Napalm Records, and we're being introduced to a whole new group of fans that have never even heard about us before. And we know that the reaction is going to be interesting, and it has been interesting watching that our videos have been now posted on a site like Napalm's, and what those types of, like I said, the kind of like darker metal fan thinks about our band. And we're also trying to initiate new people, like new young people that are maybe new to heavy music, because this, the younger generation that's grown up, with a lot of other phases in music than what I remember as a child, which was some real heavy mainstream stuff. Now the mainstream music doesn't seem to lean as much heavy as it used to, and we want to introduce a new group of kids growing up to this type of music as well. So in all ways, I felt like we just want to have that restart, kind of like rev up that engine again and say like, we're here, let's go.
Personally, I fucking love the song Bystander. But
thanks.
According to you, which new song of your upcoming album make a statement about the sound that you want to give to your fans in the future?
That's interesting. Yeah, like Bystander to me is a good example because of the fact that it does span a lot of what I consider like the Sumo Cyco styles, punk style in there. You got some fast flows, you got some screaming, you got the dance hall vibes, you got, some hooks, some real sing-along hooky parts in the chorus. So all those elements I think are really, to me, important to our sound and signature to Sumo Cyco. And but there's another song on the record coming out probably near the release, closer to May 7th. It's called Bad News.
Okay.
And to me, that is my favorite song on the record. It is chaotic. It is not easy to sing along to at the first time, but to me, it shows off what we do well, I think. And it's to me, it's as soon as I heard the instrumental that Matt put together, I was like, this is just fire instrumental. And it took me probably like 5 or 6 attempts writing the lyrics and melodies to the song to get it right, because I just knew that it could be like such a great song. I just needed to find the right, thread the needle, so to speak, to get the perfect melody and lyrics that fit and really enhanced what Matt had done musically. So it took me a while. I worked on it a lot, so hopefully people like it when they hear it.
Can't wait to hear it. I talk about the Bystander, and one of the funny comments I read on YouTube is a fan that he said, I click on the video for the chicks, and now I just like to say, "Oh na na." I fucking love this comment. Just to close, I know with this music project, you want to build a community and a fan base who want to show his love for your band. How it's important to you to stay connected with the people?
Oh, it's so important. Our journey as a band, being an independent band from the ground up, would not be where we are today without fans really showing the industry that they exist. And there's I feel like a lot of the time as a band, you're either working kind of the fan route where you're just really building that loyal fan base, or you can work kind of like the industry route where you just like kind of leapfrog from finding, you know, one guy who knows an in at this place and another guy that knows in at this place and someone over here that knows how to get your song on this playlist or whatever. And I feel like we decided to take it like the fan route first. We were like, you know what, we're not going to even try to knock on some of these doors in the industry until we feel like we've found where we fit with our fans, and we've built the fan base up like one by one. We'll hang out at the shows at the merch table. We get back to messages online. We do our live streams. We try to put out as many, you know, behind the scenes type videos to invite them into our world as possible, and really know that sometimes the industry can fall out beneath your feet. And I've experienced that in my career because I've been in this industry for a long time. And as soon as you're, you know, somebody over here in some, you know, office building doesn't think you're, you know, hot shit anymore, then, you know, your days are numbered to get those spots on those playlists. But if you have fans, you're never going to lose that connection because they've always going to experience these moments with you and grow with you and experience, you know, the entire journey of our career has been so much enhanced by them being there, and they've kept us alive through COVID. They've supported us through our merch drops. I can't say enough about our fans. They're so awesome. They spread the word. They, you know, are constantly trying to, you know, even I was so impressed with them going over, you know, whenever we got released, the Bystander video got released on Napalm, and some people, you know, that it reached didn't understand what we were doing, and the fans just came out in droves on the video and were just educating everyone who was like, oh, this looks manufactured, and they're like, no, you don't realize this band's been around for 10 years. Like, they were just in there like faster than I could even say it, letting people know, like, you know, just defending us. And it was just so cool to see like all these people just really understand what we are going for and really care so much. And so, yeah, I could go on forever about our fans, but we love them so much.
I think is fucking love you too.
That's good.
Skye Sever Sweetnam, thanks for your time. It's an honor for me to talk with you today. And just to close, remember the time the new album will be released.
Yes, so it's coming out May 7th. So we're super excited, and if everyone wants to go out and pre-order their copy, check out sumocyco.com. Got lots of cool bundles on there. You can take a quiz and find out which Cyco City gang you belong to. So that's a fun thing you can do on our website. So, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk, and thank you so much for spreading the word today.